What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Dawkins on Duke. This week we are reacting to Duke's first loss last night at Ohio State. Tough game, tough second half. We got my guy Steve Wiseman, who's a beat writer for the Raleigh News and Observer. But as always, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any content. Check us out over on YouTube. The Field of 68 over there is where we post all of our clips if you want to watch any clips from my show or any of our shows. And reach out to us at the Field of 68 on Twitter and at Trey_Dawkins on Twitter. If you have any questions, maybe we'll do a Q&A episode one of these weeks. But yeah, hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next week. Today we got Raleigh News and Observer Duke beat writer Steve Wiseman. Guy I kind of go way back with. I remember, you were around when I was playing, so we got to chat a little bit. So good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. Glad to be with you. Good to see you again. And I remember those days when I was early on the beat. 2010 was my first year, so we kind of came in together a little bit there. And
yeah,
good times, man.
Yeah, that was a good year to start for sure. So I asked all of the former players this question about their welcome to Duke moment. So do you have a welcome to covering Duke moment?
I would say, my first season was, I came in summer of 2010, so after the championship year. I saw Kyrie play in the summer league that year out at NC Central. And so he was incoming as a freshman, and just, the place was full of people, and here's a guy who didn't play the college game, and just the attention and the energy and all that was like, wow, this is a different level of basketball than I've covered before, because I covered South Carolina and Winthrop and like those kind of programs, SEC, SEC, Kentucky, all that stuff, right? But I wasn't covering that beat, so I think that was kind of it for me, was to see that, and then going into that year and all the hype and everything with him.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first game at Cameron was like? Yeah.
I learned quickly not to wear a white dress shirt because you're gonna get paid.
yeah.
And get used to getting hit in the head a little bit every once in a while.
Yeah. Oh.
You still there?
Yeah, got it.
I don't know what happened there. The connection broke.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Want
me to pick up where I was? Sorry.
Yeah, I can just ask it again.
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first game at Cameron was like?
Yeah, I learned quickly not to wear a white dress shirt because it's going to get paint all over it from the crazies right on my back, and getting, you're going to get knocked in the head or the back a little bit when they cheer, put their hands up. So, but no, mostly, it was incredible. Like I'd never been in a situation like that covering a game, because usually, we're in a press box or our own little area, and but to be right on top of the court, and then my seat is right directly across from the Duke bench, so I'm pretty much looking right at Coach K the whole game, and just to get that intimacy of covering a game and hearing what the players are saying on the court and when they're on my end down there, and it's unlike anything else I've ever done.
Yeah. My first game when I went to Cameron on a visit, and I remember looking and I was like, what are those guys sitting there? And they're like, oh, those are media guys. I was like, why they got the media guys sitting right under the crazies like that? And I was like, that looks so uncomfortable, but that's Cameron for you. So moving on to this year's team, obviously last night had a tough loss at Ohio State, coming off big win in Vegas over Gonzaga. So let's talk about last night. What do you think happened? I mean, first half looked pretty smooth. Second half struggled, especially down the stretch offensively. From your perspective, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, the jump shots just weren't falling, and that was the case even in the first half for the most part. They did make 3 3-pointers in the first half. They only made 1 in the second half. So, with the first half, they were able to drive and get some baskets in in the paint. It wasn't even Mark Williams that was doing the scoring. It was more, Wendell Moore, Paulo got some in there. Keels was driving and dishing and setting people up that way. In the second half, it looked like, as the game and a half went on, Ohio State was better able to cut off those driving lanes and keep guys out and kind of make them settle for jumpers. And again, they weren't falling. So, I don't know if that was, as Coach K said, the end of an energy cycle.
Yeah.
He likes to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And, the travel, going to Vegas, coming home, and the legs, they just didn't have their legs like they normally would. But that's what happened. And I kept thinking they were going to hold on, make one more basket. Trevor Keels made that three with about 7 minutes to go, put them up 11. And I thought they're going to figure out a way to get a W out of this. And then on, nothing would fall.
Yeah. They definitely seemed a bit tired down the stretch. I was kind of like you. I thought that they had just enough that they could eke over the edge. But just didn't quite have enough down the stretch. Do you think that game is a cause for concern, or would you say, it's just a one-off and, like you just said, end of an energy cycle, just had a big emotional game a couple of days ago, flew back across the country, had to fly again, playing at a tough environment. What would you say your level of concern after that game is for the team?
Yeah, it's not super high level of concern. I think this was a really good experience for the team. And, as Coach K said after the game, they're going to have to learn how to do this, because there's going to be, in the ACC tournament, or more importantly in the NCAA tournament, where you play on Friday, you got to run and play a good team again on Sunday.
Yep.
So you've got to crank it back up. But so, okay, you learn that in November. That's if you learn from it, you're fine. So, that they've been such a good defensive team, and they've been able to defend without fouling for the most part this month. And last night was the first time that didn't happen. There was a lot of reaching, and that led to the fouls. And so if they take the lessons from that going forward, which I'm confident they will, I think this team is pretty strong mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're getting ready for last week of classes here, last week of projects due. You know how it's like, and then they got finals next week. So there's a lot of things going on there. I just think they'll learn from it. I don't see this being something that's going to linger. I think it's really kind of a unique situation.
Yeah. You've been around Coach a while. I've known Coach for a while. We know he can be a little superstitious at times. So is that the last time we see the black jerseys this season?
It might be the last time in his tenure, right? That's what it would be.
Yeah.
There is a bad record of those suckers on the road.
Oh my goodness. It's so bad. And they're so nice too, but I don't know what it is, man. We struggle in those.
They are sharp.
Yeah. Even back when I was playing, we struggled in those, but it's so weird. So Wendell had another good game. All around game, scoring, rebounding, assists, defensively. Do you think he's getting enough attention for what he's been doing this first part of the season?
I don't think so. I think people are kind of waiting to see him. I'm talking about overall, expecting, this is so much better than he's played so much his first 2 years, that there's going to be a drop off. And so people are kind of a little bit hesitant to say he's one of the better players in the country, because his stats show he is one of the better players in the country right now. Absolutely. No question about it. Any metric you look at, he's doing everything: scoring, rebounding, assists, playing without turning the ball over. He hardly ever turns the ball over, which was a big problem for him, the last couple of years at times. He was, as Coach K says, not strong with the ball, right? So there were times when he was kind of sloppy that way, and that's not the case anymore. So, I think that's it. People, okay, well, you're doing really well now. Let's see, can you continue this? Not just 1 month, but 2 months, 3 months. Yeah. But all 7 or 8 games now, he has been really strong consistently every night, and so he's got to prove some people over still. Once again, the ACC play, but it looks like he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, he's been super impressive. I thought he'd take a leap, but I mean the leap has been massive. I mean, especially on the playmaking side, defensively he's been really, really good, and he's really grown as a leader. You can see him out there. He's constantly talking to guys, encouraging, getting on guys. He knows when to do each, and I think they really respond to him. So it's been really cool to see his growth over the last year.
Yeah, no question. That leadership thing has been huge, and I think maybe it just took him a couple of years to find his voice. And feel comfortable. Obviously, as a freshman, and last year was weird with the pandemic. I mean, it's just an odd situation. So, talking to him in the preseason and also to Nolan, there was a lot of comparisons to Nolan's career track, and you saw that firsthand. Where the first couple of years, he wasn't what ended up being his junior and senior year, right? He ended up being the ACC Player of the Year, and so there's a direct comparison there, and maybe Wendell can play himself into a first round pick. I mean, right now it looks like one.
Yeah,
he's playing, so
he definitely looks like one now. One of our guys who is for sure first round pick, Paolo, struggled a bit in the second half. He was 0 for 7 in the second half. Only got 4 points. What do you think causes that? Is it just settling too much, or the defense changed up on him in the second half? What do you think was the cause of his struggles in the second half?
Yeah, he getting that third foul in the first half, I think, really made it weigh on his mind, because he didn't play at the end of the first half because coach took him out after the third foul. That kind of gets you out of the cycle of the game, right?
Yeah.
And then and actually we've seen that with him, when he had the cramping issues against Gonzaga and Kentucky, where he came back in, but he wasn't quite the full-on Paulo with the confidence and taking that step back jumper and feeling good about it. He took a couple of those and they just didn't fall last night. And then I think it kind of gets into your head. You keep thinking, shoot or shoot, keep shooting, right? That's the whole thing. But it can, when they start not falling, as you know, it can impact you. And I think that's it. It's the first time he's really had to play with foul trouble, and first time on the road, right? Hostile environment, all that. So he's got to learn to do it. And he's got to learn to do it. It's going to be in the NBA for sure. So
yeah, definitely.
That was it.
Yeah. So speaking of the foul issues, pretty much our whole front line foul issues. Theo fouls out. Mark had 4. Paolo ended up with 4. Is that a cause for concern moving forward? Them being in foul trouble and not being able to, especially defensively, play like they want to on the front line.
Yeah, I mean, it showed a weakness we hadn't seen before. Again, that reaching on defense and not being in position. So definitely have to pay attention to it and be intentional about it when they get in practice and talking about those things, because foul trouble, as you know, fouls are going to happen, and you have to learn every once in a while. You're going to get in foul trouble. You have to learn how to play through it.
Yeah.
And it can get that way in March too, and that's what matters. So let's see if they learn from it. But yeah, it's all about not the reaching and thing. And again, maybe it goes back to the energy thing. Just being a little bit tired. So that's not going to happen a whole lot.
Yeah.
We have this cross country flight, come home for a day, another flight.
Yeah.
That could be tough.
Yeah, that's a hell of a schedule there. I remember we actually did pretty much the same thing my junior year. I just think that was the last time we went to Ohio State. We played out in Maui, emotional game against Kansas. I think it was 3 games in 3 days.
Yep. Tyler Thornton made the 3-pointer, remember?
Yep, Tyler hits the 3, the dagger 3.
Yeah.
We fly back, then we fly to Ohio State. Same thing, tough environment. They were really good too. And just wasn't a good night for us.
We were talking about that last night. I was talking about some people about that last night.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah. Last night they played better than we did, because it was never a game when we played.
Right.
But same outcome, a loss. Our other big time freshman, Trevor Keels, since really the Kentucky game has kind of struggled shooting the ball. What do you think is the key for him to kind of get back on track? Obviously, we're not expecting him to play every game like the Kentucky game, but he has struggled from the field the last few games. What do you think is the key for him to get back?
He has, and that's it's becoming a concern for sure. Because I thought the way he played against Kentucky, I thought, wow, this team is really dynamite if he's going to shoot like that. Because he already plays pretty good defense, and he's so poised as a player at such a young age and so physically strong that I thought, okay, they're ready to go. And then since then, and the team was able to overcome that against Gonzaga. He and Jeremy Roach neither one shot very well, to be honest with you, and they won anyway. So I thought, okay, they can do this. But last night showed that's not always the case, and he's going to have to hit. He's going to be open. Yeah. He's going to be open for some shots because there's so much attention being paid to Paulo. And when Mark Williams is on the court of Theo John actually down low, it's going to open up areas for him to shoot. And again, he's a freshman, so let's see if he gets out of this rut, gets through finals here, and they get in a couple more non-conference games in the ACC. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on because he's got to get that shot down for them to reach their potential.
Before we continue with Steve, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up with BetRivers yet, now's the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their new Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, more secure, and more reliable. With basketball season in full swing and conference play starting this weekend, get in on the action by going to betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Cool. All right. I will I'll let you get back to it.
All
right. Talk to you
later. Speaking of reaching the team's potential, AJ Griffin, highly touted freshman, obviously right before the year had a knee injury that kept him out. Doesn't seem like he's quite all the way back yet. I think he only played like 2 minutes last night. How much do you think he can help once he's 100% and able to give more than what he's able to give right now?
He is going to be a difference maker once we get into January and second semester and ACC play, and then March, because he's going to get more healthy and his legs under him more. He showed a little bit of flashes of that last week when they had a couple of games they played in Cameron before they went to Vegas for Gonzaga. Looked like he finally hit his stride. Now that was against obviously smaller teams, not the caliber they played the last two games. So, but he's got to earn the confidence of the staff too to get some minutes, right? Last night he was in there, took that one shot and it was really off. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he disappeared after that shot. So,
I know the feeling well. I know,
but I think he will. I really think he will, because he's such a great athlete, and that injury just set him back in October. And of course, he hadn't played much the last 2 years, really. Right? He only played 12 games the junior. And didn't play last year. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Harry Giles, right? When he came in, and he was really good in March. Remember in that ACC tournament when they won in Brooklyn, he played really well. And maybe that's the path AJ is going to have, is it might take him into January and February before he can earn some more minutes. But he can really help him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if he can shoot better than he showed, everything says he can, and defensively and rebounding, he's a big body in there. Some of the minutes that Joey Baker is getting right now may end up going to AJ if it works out that way. And that would be good for the team. Not against Joey, but I mean AJ has a higher ceiling. Right.
Yeah, for sure. I got to see him a little bit over the summer. Great athlete, which just adds another dimension defensively. You could play him at the 4, at the 3, whatever. He can switch stuff. And then offensively getting out and running and, hopefully knocking down shots. So, I'm excited to see, him progress and him, like you said, gain the trust of the staff and just keep, hopefully he just keeps working, doesn't get too discouraged about the lack of minutes thus far, because, it is a long season, and, we're playing for late March, early April, not November. So did you think that last night's game could kind of be a good thing for this team, coming off, beating the consensus number one, pretty much everyone's crowning you as the best team in the country. Do you think it was kind of a good thing for the team to, maybe take a lump and say, okay, we're not there yet. We still got a ways to go.
I do. And that's, a lot of people say, oh, that's, cliche thing, but I think there's some reality to that as the season goes on. I mean, last night's loss doesn't take away, prevent Duke from reaching any of its goals, right? All the goals are still there. This isn't, college football is different, right? You take a loss and sometimes that can knock you out for the whole season, but basketball is different, which I like it. You see the progress of a team, and you're in a different kind of situation last night. Again, you're on the road first time and coming off a long trip, and you just have to learn, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to bring a little extra here in steam to get it done. And also, it's not very often that Duke has a lead like 15 points in the second half and it gets away. Yeah. I think this is the first time in 10 years that's happened. ESPN Stats and Info had that Duke's had a lead of 10 points or more in the second half and lost. So normally, I guess maybe you get a feeling of, okay, we've done this before. Let's finish this game off and get it done. And you had somebody in foul trouble and shots were falling, and oh my God, it's starting to crash down on us. Okay, well, next time somebody else will step up. Somebody will make a play. Somebody will say, let's calm down. Let's whatever didn't happen last night. There's a chance for that to happen again. And you've learned it in a loss that doesn't damage you in any way. Right. So that's a good thing. Yeah.
I think it's definitely important to go through things like that. My freshman year when we won, we went to Wisconsin and lost, and a tough game, and just didn't really execute down the stretch. I think we had a couple turnovers down the stretch or whatever. But like you said, it's important to be in those situations and fail in order to say, okay, next time I'm in that situation, here's what I need to do better. Or, we need to execute better, be a little bit stronger with the ball. And that season ended well for that team. So
it did.
Hopefully it ends well for this one too. So ACC struggling a little bit. I think, do we have one win? Do we have one or two wins in the ACC Big Ten Challenge?
Yeah, Syracuse, that overtime, they held on and beat Indiana, and then didn't Wake beat Northwestern in overtime.
Okay, so we got two. Two.
Not good.
Yeah, is that an indictment on the ACC as a whole? I think only Duke is in the top 25 right now, right? So
yes.
Is the ACC that bad this year?
So far it is, and that's even before the Big Ten ACC thing, with only Duke being ranked the last 2 weeks. Taking some. Syracuse lost to Colgate. Pitt has lost. They lost at home to Citadel by 15, and those aren't teams that are expected to be at the top of the league anyway. But it's because I was looking at the schedule, Duke's ACC schedule, all of a sudden it didn't look as daunting as it should. Yeah. It's not murderer's row. Oh my God. Yeah. How's this going to play out? But NC State, I think, had some hopes of, with Manny Bates and the team they had, maybe being an NCAA tournament team. And now that's out. Manny Bates is out, and they're just not a very good team, as it turned out. So that's one that took a hit. Pitt, the bottom of the league really is really poor. Yeah. And usually you have that depth of the league where, the team that's 11th in the standings can knock off somebody in the top four. I don't think that's going to happen this year, the way it's going so far. Yeah. So it's kind of scary for the league right now. We've had some teams take steps back that we didn't anticipate.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, we all know this is Coach's last season on the bench. And you've covered Duke for about a decade now, right? So, you feel anything different from Coach? In press conferences when you're asking him questions and things like that, or does he seem relatively the same?
He seems relatively the same. I'll be honest with you. And now that we're into the season, okay, I talked to him extensively before the season. There talked about some things we wouldn't have normally talked about, some big picture stuff, and he was willing to do that at that time. But he pretty much said once the season started, he's locked in, and he's really good at compartmentalizing and doing that, right? So yeah, like I was thinking about in the post game last night, how that went. A press conference after a loss is different. It doesn't happen a whole lot. But he was the same as he's been the last 10 years in those settings. And there was no vibe of like, well, it's my last year anyway, so we did what we did. I mean, that's not it. He is locked in. And so no, from that point, it's really been the same. And I wonder how, when we get down into February and he's making the last trip to Chapel Hill and we get down to the end of his run at Cameron, knowing him, I think he'll be able to compartmentalize again, like I said, but I don't know. I'm going to watch out for that.
Yeah.
See.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Especially because, the reception will probably be a little bit different. As he's going through this last run in the ACC on the road, it'll be completely different than what he's used to.
Yeah.
We don't get any love on the road normally.
No.
And I think, we'll probably get a little bit, at least pregame, we'll get a little bit coming his way. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. One other thing, this is Dawkins on Duke, not just Duke basketball. So Duke football has a head coach opening. You have any thoughts on direction they may go for their new football coach? Yeah,
I mean, I think they're going to try to find another head coach from the school, which isn't something Duke has done very often. The last time that happened was they hired Fred Goldsmith away from Rice. That was the early 90s. So it's usually been promoting an assistant. Because Duke they don't pay what other Power 5 schools do, right? But they do. I say that saying there is a difference between Power 5 and Group of 5, even at the bottom of Power 5, where you're talking about $3 or $4 million a year. I mean, Coach Cutcliffe was 2.8, something like that. So Duke's going to have to go $3.5 million if I have to hire the new coach. Mike Houston at East Carolina makes $1.5 million. Jeff Monken at Army makes about $1 million. So that's a big difference. You can double or triple somebody's salary. Yeah. Even coming to a school at Duke, which is at the bottom of the ACC as far as salaries. I think they're going to be deliberate like Duke does. But they're going to try to get this done before signing day. The early signing day is December 15th, and I could see him. I think they'll have a head coach in place by the weekend before that. Do you have a prediction for us? I get a good feeling about Jeff Monken and Army. I think that this might be the time. I think Duke's ready to go in that direction, the triple option, which, Duke's proven they can. I mean, Cutcliffe showed they could win with a regular offense, when they won the Coastal and all that and had that good run of bowl games. Maybe Monken can come in and have aspects of the triple option, but not go full all in. Maybe he's going to have some packages that are normal, so you can recruit some wide receivers. Yeah. But exactly. Duke has always had trouble for the most part getting the type of athletes that other schools do at those positions, those key positions. Yeah. And so I guess you just kind of got to buy into it and say, okay, we want to win or be competitive. This is the route we need to go. And it can work. I mean, Monken is a heck of a coach. He's done a great job at Army. So that's just my gut feeling right now. I know that he's involved, and I just think I see a fit there. So, but we'll see. Yeah. Well, you heard it here first. Here's a scoop. Steve Wiseman says Monken from Army is coming down. And all the Army people are maybe mad at me. Yeah. Chris Patola, he was an Army graduate, right? Chris. Yeah. And he's like, hey, don't steal our coach, man.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for you today, man. I appreciate the time. Get home safely, and hopefully we don't have very many more nights like last night for the rest of the year.
There you go. Yeah, man. Good to see you. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Have a good one.
All right.